Graham Jarvis, you name it, they all duck walk, they all dab. You know, you do what it takes to make it through.
Right.
Without using a lot of energy.
Right.
So that's the game in the game.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing I took away from the classes. So you've got all these training things now. I know you're doing the Go Big with the GS Giants coming up. So you're going to be out in Missouri there the first weekend in June. Obviously, you come to Indiana and you do this a couple of times a year, you know, in the spring and the fall. And then you got the Georgia and Virginia thing. Are you planning to expand your training any? Or
this year I've been expanding a little bit.
A little bit, like, well, yeah, because Horizons Unlimited, I met you there, and I know
I've done that a few years there.
Oh, okay, so you've done. So, do you think? I mean, to keep it here, or do you ever think about going out west and doing any?
No, I'd love to go out west.
Yeah,
I'd love to go to California and do it. I just have to find the time with my schedule.
Yeah, I got
to do it. But I really enjoy going to different places because every single different place you do it at is a different environment.
Right.
So it gives the students, even if they've trained with you 3-4 times, if you go to a new place, then it's a whole new experience.
Right.
And it's a different set of skills we'll be working on. So you don't get repetitive thing over and over, which isn't bad, but you know, it's
it's about building that toolbox.
Yeah,
up,
building your toolbox up. So
that's awesome. So I know this is not your full-time gig.
No.
So what are you in? Like, I know you're doing the RC thing.
Yeah.
You do a little bit of. So for folks that don't know, get outside the ADV world and know Tom a little bit. You do. I've seen you have these robotics, like the cars or the robots.
Yeah. Well, the
RC
radio controlled. It's you know, it's kind of like motorcycle, and it started out as a hobby, but yeah, I created a company, a brand 5-6 years ago. Wow. And it's really taken off worldwide now, so thankfully. So, you know, luckily I've got good employees now,
right,
and they can keep things running while I'm able to go out and help train people and have fun like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it works out pretty good. We sell internationally, so it's really kind of e-commerce, international trade, if you guys know what that is. It's into that. So
that's cool.
That's what I do. But it's a lot of work, but it's...
So you folks can have some different hobbies, not all about 80 different things that you can do. So
yeah.
So what do you see, like, so I was going to ask you this question. You get a lot of people through your classes, folks like myself or anybody else. I mean, maybe like, what's your top 2 or 3 things that people should really focus on? You know, like if they're getting into this world, like, you know, again, I've been doing it for 2 years. I have my opinions, but I'm like nobody. But what do you think are maybe 2 or 3 things that either people should focus in on that they're getting into AVV, or what should they focus in on their riding? Like, what do you think is the top couple of things that folks should focus on?
Well, it depends on their goals and what they're doing. I mean,
okay,
you know, if you want to travel, you know, if you want to travel off-road, I guess that's what it's based on.
Right.
If you want to travel off-road and you ride a larger bike, you do need to develop some skills because it's easier on a smaller bike. No. You know, there's no doubt there. So when you have the heavy bike, you need to focus on your skills. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's a lot of good trainers out there. Mm-hmm. And I would suggest, you know, taking some locally if you have some locally.
So anything in that arena, just other than just going to do the training, is there any specific things that you think that would help, or is it just, it's kind of a combination, isn't it?
Yeah.
You gotta get balance.
I mean, you really need the fundamentals. The problem is, you know, most people learn from their friends. And you have a light went out.
That's all right. Lights go out. Hey guys, by the way, this is a high production facility, just FYI, okay? So
most people learn from their friends. And like me, you remember I told at the very beginning?
Yeah.
I thought my friends were the best riders in the world, and it wasn't until I really started taking it serious when I found out my friends weren't the best riders in the world. Well, you know what? That covers about 90% of your friends out there. They're probably not the best riders in the world, and that's who you're learning from. It really is.
So you can develop some bad habits.
You can definitely develop bad habits, and you really need, I think, to go to a professional. Now, you know, I was one that I learned the old school way because there wasn't any trainers when I learned to do it.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, think about this community, right? How much, even since 2016, look how much this community has
really grown. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And and it's very diverse, right? You see in lots of women train, which is great. Women are getting into this. Folks my age and stuff like that. That I try to do my thing, but it's amazing the amount of people that are getting into adventure riding, and so there is a bevy of training out there that folks can get involved with,
Yeah.
such as yourself and others. But I think it's critical. I think I did a session on this probably 3 or 4 months. Maybe it was right after your class in the fall, but I did a whole segment on just, I don't care where you're at in your skills, go train.
Yeah.
Like to me, for me, I every year want to at least go to one class or more, just to refine or to build new skills.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great idea.
I highly recommend training all the day.
I used to do it wrong all the time because I had nowhere to train. There wasn't a training for what we do. And let me tell you, it's a lot of pain and suffering doing it the wrong way for a long time.
Oh, I bet.
So,
Yeah.
you crash a lot, and that is not a good way to learn. It's better, I think, to have a professional,
Right.
help you out. Now, I don't make a living at it or anything like that. So it's not like I'm selling training because I don't do this for my living. But I just think it's a wiser thing to do, especially if you want to do a big trip like a BDR or something like that. If it can help you even not fall once or twice, it's a good
A
investment.
lot further ahead.
Yeah, a lot further ahead.
I mean, we were at Whale and Wayne last year, right? And Tim and I took off and did this 3 miles of hell thing. There's no way that if I didn't go through your class, Dragoo's advanced class, and some of the things that I have learned from being in these, I don't think I could have finished that 3 miles, because you've ridden some of that stuff back there, and it was absolutely brutal. We going over logs and trees and figuring out like how to do that, and I don't know if I would have been able to do that. Like I would have either had to call the SOS or I would have had to huff it back out the other way. But I commend you for that. So this is what I try to do with these interviews, is just to try to get to know people, let people know who you are. Is there anything that you would want to say to the community, or to anything that you think's important? All right, we're finally getting the cameras all straightened up here. Keep overheating, folks. But so you were going to leave new adventure riders kind of what your spiel is on what your thoughts are for folks.
I think bike choice is important. If you're going to ride locally, just statewide, possibly consider a lighter bike. You don't really need a 1250 GSA if you're just going around locally,
Right.
100, 200 mile ride. That's not a big deal. And if you like to go off-road, that's going to help you in the off-road situations a little better. However, if you like to travel interstate and, you want to ride clear out west or something like that, then that's where, the 1250 GSA or the big KTMs, other bikes like that, that's really going to be more comfortable for that long distance that you're going to go on.
Just make a difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. I remember, my brother and I, we did the Trans-America Trail, and we did it on KLRs. And my brother, he's okay, rider, but he's not like professional or anything. And anyway, we took KLRs back, had out west, had a great time, came back, and then fast forward, I don't know, 6 years later, we do it again on GSs. And my brother dropped his new GS, broke the windshield, and stuff like that. But on the way home, the difference is we were planning our next trip.
Got it.
And even though he went through that little miserable spell off road in Oregon, we were planning our next trip already because we had such a good time. And overall, I think back, and the smaller bikes just beat us up on the long distance.
Right.
It did. And we weren't even talking it.
Yeah,
wore us out, and we weren't talking about that next trip. So, I'm not trying to sell anybody on a bigger bike. I'm trying to say, think about what you want to do.
Right bike for the right type of riding that you're going to do.
Yeah, there's always going to be a compromise somewhere. There's no perfect bike for everything.
There's no unicorn, folks.
No, there's no unicorn.
So get that out of your mind. Trust me, I've gone through enough bikes in 2 years to understand there's no unicorn out there. So Yeah. So okay. So we got the training. We know where you've come from. Got all this stuff. You've got a good thing going on with your RC, kind of doing all that stuff. Um, any final thoughts? I mean, we talked about new adventure riders. Is there anything anything else you want to share with the community, or any other last thoughts that you have about anything for in general?
Well, I know people's probably heard this before, but at our age, time's ticking.
Oh yeah.
Get out there and do it now and make it happen. So
No, I
that is
agree with you
my
on that.
biggest thing.
That is, it's funny. I had just done the interview, with Renee, and I think we talked a little bit prior to us sitting down here. But you are right that it's the old adage. I tell people there's two things that Warren Buffett and Bill Gates always talk about. They've got enough money to buy anything, but they can't buy time.
You can't buy time.
Can't buy time. So use what you have to the best of that you can, and if you enjoy this, get out and do this.
Right?
Yeah. And so all right, folks. Well, hey, to me, this has been fantastic because you don't get a lot of this stuff with, other folks. And I really appreciate Tom taking the time. And I really do.
My pleasure.
It's been a fast and furious 2 years for me doing this stuff. I enjoy taking your classes. I enjoy the time that we do spend because I like to talk about this, because when you're in it, and this community is small but big, right? I mean, it's small but big, but it's fun to me to be able to interact with all the different people in this community, because it's just, everybody has been really fantastic.
Yeah, great community.
Yeah, and you find very few people that are quote unquote bad apples or whoever they are, but for the most part, I've ran into nothing but just great people in this community, and everybody's willing to lend a hand or to give some type of advice or insight to something that, whether or not it works for you, but they're sharing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't get that out in other stuff. So folks, it's getting dark. I think Tom wants a beer. I want a beer. I know he's been training for the last couple of days. He's got a final day tomorrow. So
all right.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And folks, again, if you get the chance, take a look. I will link everything down below in the description for Tom and all of his training. If I can get a link to that video, I'll share it with you. But absolutely, folks, get out there, do your thing, get training. Like I said, whether it's Tom or anybody else, but get out there and do that training, and have some fun.
Have fun doing it. That's right.
Take care, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I'm not that exciting of a talker, but
Oh, that's